Hello everyone, welcome to the special edition DVD of Saw. I'm James Wan, and here with me are my two favourite people in this room right now.
Leigh Whannell, that's me.
And Cary, Elwes.
Welcome, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Hey man, I do my best.
Yeah. That was one good title. The font on that is extraordinary.
I like it's called Twisted Pictures. It kind of sets the tone right away.
It does. How did you choose that font, James? Who was the font consultant?
We put a bunch of fonts up on the wall, and then we threw darts.
Okay, it definitely looks it. No, it's a beautiful font. And there we have it.
One of the most famous openings of all time.
Really?
Oh,
Who said that?
I did.
Cary Elwes says it's one of the best opening scenes of all time.
Well, it's great. There you are underwater, right? And it's falling out like a fish flopping on the ground there.
I really put... Cary, can I ask? I really put my heart and soul into the acting for this. I actually hurt myself in a lot of sort of
you were very
occasions.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to fall out of that and say, look, I'm not hurting myself anymore. This is all bullshit?
On the first day. No, I was impressed that you went for it because I remember when you were shooting this, I was watching this, and they made you stay underwater for a long time, and you held your breath.
On purpose, though.
At one stage, I'm lying underwater, and I heard the first AD say, "Okay, we're all set." And James was like, "Are you sure? Let's check the monitors again." And I'm like, "Help underwater," and I could just hear James going, "Can I get a coffee?"
I remember you describing to me the sound of the lights coming on and how that would be, and it was really impressive because your sense of how the lighting would affect this film and the way the room would look, it really set the location really well in my head.
Is this the dirtiest film you've ever done, Cary?
No, without question. I think I would go to dinner while making this film, and no matter how hard I scrubbed when I got home at night, people would look at me and go, "What's wrong with you?" There was, blood and sweat still caked on me and stuff, so I stopped going out to dinner while This is a great shot.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the shot that we put back in, the shot of the close-up of the head.
Great.
That was taken out for the theatrical. So a lot of the things that were put back in on this version were just, a lot of the more, more graphical stuff.
Right.
More graphic shots.
But everybody should know, I think, James, that it's not like there's 20 minutes of extra gory footage for the it's not like the film wasn't a very gory film, was it?
No, it was never meant to be like that. It was from the very start. I think we wanted to make a film that was more a very controlled film, very much like the kind of films Hitchcock would make. But we realised that with the time constraints and the restrictions that we had, that method was just not going to apply for this. Because to make a film that was really controlled, you need time and preparation and rehearsal. There was just none of that.
Yeah, we had like a quick rehearsal at the beginning, remember?
It was more like a dinner. It was more like a dinner where you and Leigh
Ran some lines.
Yeah, run some lines together. That was it.
No, but what I liked about your discussion with me about that Hitchcock theory was that we talked about that, and you said we agreed that the best kind of thing you can show on film in terms of horror is oftentimes what the imagination is in the audience's mind, better than showing you a limb that's been dismembered or whatever. It's more the sound or what's happening off camera that is more effective.
That's right, yeah.
Than what you actually end up seeing.
And plus, we couldn't afford a limb as well. That was too expensive.
Two theories work well together.
You remember these manacles, Leigh?
Yeah. I remember saying, I know it's a sin to repeat yourself, but I have to say to you, Cary, that I explained to the audience on the last commentary that people would often ask if those chains hurt. And I would say, well, actually, they were the inside of the manacles were lined with kind of a rubber, like a
we asked for that.
wetsuit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was all
Wasn't there
lined.
originally?
It was all
Originally, it was just a real manacle. I was like, you're not going to put that. Oh, yeah.
well, exactly. And,
I mean, I did have it lined with spikes. I mean, you guys didn't seem to agree with that. What was that about?
no, but in all seriousness, they were lined with rubber. So the answer to the question, did those chains hurt, is yes. They hurt a lot.
They did.
They hurt.
They hurt pretty good. We had good marks
on,
on our legs. We did, man. We suffered for you,
suffered
James.
for you,
For
man.
you, man.
You guys are wusses, man. It didn't hurt me one bit at all.
I was locked in them one day. You remember they put a nail that was too big in there? I actually got locked. You guys
you
all went to
couldn't get
lunch. I was sitting in that spot for a good 25 minutes.
I was going to do this big methody thing where I was going to sleep in the bathroom for the entire length of the shoot.
Really?
That went out the window about 2 seconds into it. I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather go home.
No, what was great was the people you hired to do the set design and the props and all of that were so incredibly meticulous because they come in and make sure that the slime was still fresh and and that these poles that we're leaning on.
I did
were
tell
all...
Leigh to stop drooling, you know. I mean, come on, dude.
No, but everything you touched was very viscerally disgusting, and it really helped give you a sense of place.
Definitely.
Can I ask you, Cary, if I had opted to sleep in the bathroom every night, would you have done the same just to be my brother in method acting?
Not a chance.
Okay.
No, there's no way. That place was disgusting, man.
Wussy.
You know it was. I don't mind. You can call me what you want.
And I have on several
And you
occasions.
have on several occasions. But, you were covered in water for the first 20 minutes. I can see why you wouldn't do it. You would have caught pneumonia or something.
Oh, my God.
We actually pissed in the bathtub. Each of the crew member took turns pissing in there, and we told Leigh that it was Lipton tea.
Yeah. This is what I loved about the whole thing, to me, is that the game begins the minute they find the first clue. And you start to realize that these guys are just pawns in a big, sick game of death. And here they are. They find their messages.
Yeah, it just gets into it straight away.
Right away, no messing around. Immediately, you're drawn into the story.
What did you think when you first met James, Cary? Was it down at the farmer's market, I
it was
believe?
farmer's market, yeah. It was great. He came so well prepared. He brought all his drawings and sketches. He even had a...
He knew the name of the film. And
he knew the name of the film. He remembered that. He remembered my name, which is important. That was...
He's like, listen, first off, I want to say, Mr. Sinise, your films are some of the finest. From Snake Eyes to...
I'm a big fan of Ransom.
Right. No, he even had... Do you remember you even had a drawing of the poster, which I was seriously impressed by. I thought, wow, you thought this through.
I brought up my artwork with me, and I really wanted to sell it to you,
It didn't take long. You're an amazing artist, and people should know that about you. I hope that's a part of the DVD, where they get to see your work, because...
I should point out too how starstruck I was. I was like, man, I'm having lunch with Cary Elwes here, and he's telling me things from my script. The script that Leigh and I wrote back in Australia. Crappy little apartments, and it was such a mind-blowing experience.
Well, I felt the same way, man.
Thanks,
I felt
man.
the same way.
It was, but
the
it was
most
cool.
expensive lunch I bought you, right? Was it like a $2.50 lunch or something?
The farmer's market. We love the farmer's market.
We love the farmer's market.
It's great. So here we are now, and you're trying to reach the tape recorder that's inside, that's being held by the dead body in the middle of the room.
That's it. 3 fine actors in one room.
And this wasn't really in the script, was it? About how you get
Tobin just outshine all you guys. I mean, Tobin's performance right here.
Yeah. This wasn't in the script, if I remember right. The whole idea with the shirt. Didn't you guys?
Yeah, I
come up
mean,
with
you guys actually improvised. We improvised so much on set. I think.
That was fun.
I think it was fun.
It was fun to do that. You were very open with all of the ideas.
None of them made the final cut, but certainly he was open to them on set.
But he was open to them on set, but none of them made it.
I think the weirdest thing would be, I think for Leigh, he wrote the screenplay. And then, he'll get on there and then he'll improvise as an actor. And I go, dude, so how does that work? How does the writer side of you work with that?
And I'd be like, I can't work with this shit. I've got to expand on it, otherwise it's infantile.
I was a little nervous when I first met you, I got to be honest, because I thought, okay, here he is. He's an actor in the film. And I'd already seen your work in the short that you sent me, and it was very.
And then you were really nervous.
And I was really nervous. I was like, Struth.
Struth. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to carry this bastard.
But then I thought, how is he going to be with other actors coming up to him going, hey, what if I change this line to something else?
I mean, look, I've worked on short films, certainly. I mean, when you... let's put it this way. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all when you started tearing pages out and saying this rubbish could be written by a 4-year-old. Then I took it on the chin.
I thought you took it very well. Actually, yeah. Here you are listening to the tape now.
Oh yes, the look of something.
This was me giving Leigh instructions. I was saying to him, Leigh, now.
What I want you to do is act the way you did when I first told you what your prospects were as an actor. I want that same look of dread.
Same look of despair. That same look of despair, dread, and
fear that you showed me.
Honestly, I got to tell you, Leigh, as even though we're friends, you
really suck.
You really suck. No, you did a really great performance.
Oh, well, thank you.
You really did. I was really impressed.
I would say to you, there's obviously room for improvement, but you know, if you keep going the way you're going, you'll be a fine actor.
Thank you.
One day.
Okay, so now you're playing my tape.
Okay, that's it. I remember on several lines improvising, mimicking what you were saying. Like you would say, give me the tape, and I'd go, give me the tape, or whatever, and you would just start laughing. None of it made it into the film.
That's how it was on this set. You know, these two guys, seriously. Leigh is cracking us up. In between all these takes, we're just cracking up with comments that Leigh's making most of the time.
We were having so much fun. I mean, seriously, we were just laughing
and
non-stop.
I think it shows.
It shows. It's the funniest film ever made. I mean, you know, this is the best comedy I've ever made. I think with my next film, I want to try a horror thriller. You know, something a bit different. No, but it was definitely fun, wasn't it?
It's Dude, where's my hacksaw? Well, there's a great photo of you and I, Cary. One of the shots that Greg Gain, the wonderful stills photographer on the film, took of you and I, chained, you know, covered in blood and muck and shit and crap, and you're still in your chain. You're sitting there with a script on the floor, and both of us have got our heads thrown back, just laughing our heads off. And I was like, that for me, that sums up the shoot.
Yeah,
for us.
I mean, you got to figure.
For James, it was pure hell. For us, it was a laugh.
No, but you got to figure we're trapped in this little room where they actually sealed off this room.
We were stuck in there for 7 straight days.
7 straight days. And if you didn't get along in that little space, man, it was going to be a long, long shoot. Thank God.
It was.
Short dementia set in after the 3rd day, but... yes.
But, you know, I like the choice that you had to seal the room off, because I think it was only twice where you actually floated a wall, because by sealing the room off again, it gave us that sense of place. And I remember hearing that sound of that wall being sealed, and you really felt like we really are trapped in here.
It really lends to that whole claustrophobic nature of the film.
Yeah.
That's what this whole film was about. You know, it was like trying to make the cheapest film we possibly could, but then still trying to make it really stylized, embracing all the, all the low tech approach to filmmaking.
I like, by the way, you had a shot there where you showed the ceiling. It's very rare that people take a moment to see the ceiling of a room. It really, again, lends to the claustrophobia.
Come on. Here's the toilet scene.
Yeah.
Completely unhygienic.
And that really did feel disgusting, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I'm still not totally unsure that everyone on the crew didn't take a dump in here before I did it, if I can say that.
How many takes did James make you do on that?
That one was funny because the one they actually used, the line where I go,
was
I
the
really
first
wish
take.
I had checked in there first, was actually the TV version. You know how you do the TV version?
Right.
So you do your cinema version, and then it's like, oh, we better do the non-bad language version. That's the one that got used, I think.
Really?
I think my instruction to Leigh when he was sticking his hand in there was stick your hand further in, because it looked like he was only skimming the surface.
Right.
It looks like he was only scooping, what was on the surface.
Right.
So, I was telling him to dig deeper, so to speak.
Essentially, yeah, I spend the rest of the film with my hand
covered in crap.
No, it's moment. It's a great moment, because I remember at the screening, you could hear the whole audience, the minute he puts his hand in, the whole audience just went, ugh.
I actually had a woman come up to me in Atlanta and say, do you realize that the hand you put in the toilet was your smoking hand?
She was actually bothered by that for the rest of the film.
Forget the hacksaw, forget the razor cage. It was the hygiene issues of the
funny.
film.
That is funny.
But,
that was an interesting little thing that was kind of a throwaway, but it ends up coming back, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, throwing the.
That's what we wanted to do throughout the whole film, was basically have these little
moments, which you think are not important.
Like when the camera flash goes off on you in the garage and you're thinking, what's that?
What is that? Yeah. You guys are you thought it through really well, and this is great here. Now you throw the hacksaw, and you find we've realized that the mirror is double-sided, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's another thing that's going to come into play later. Cary, I should say to you guys, James and I was skimming through television the other day, and I came across a film with Jennifer Aniston, and I was like, oh my God, it's the first Leprechaun film. You know, the classic Leprechaun.
Really?
And then I realized she's in my apartment. It was shot at Lacey Street.
No
Leprechaun.
way. Really?
The Leprechaun series is one of the finer films to be shot here at the Lacey Street
I passed on
Studios.
Critters, believe it or not, and that went to Leonardo DiCaprio. And I often wonder, had I done Critters, what might have happened to my career? You know? Instead, here I am with you guys, stuck in a room.
Hey, he's just punched out Titanic. Right now, you're thinking Critters would have been pretty good.
That's what I'm thinking right there. Oh, what might have been?
All those moments of angst, Cary.
I love Critters.
It was actually
That's
Critters
great.
3 that DiCaprio was in.
Was it Critters 3?
I think it was 3.
The best one of all.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Leprechaun in the Hood, which was one of the sequels to Leprechaun, was shot.
Wow, look at the color. You guys really did you did a lot of color coding on this. It's beautiful now. This is certainly not the color that I saw in it's beautiful. Wow, look at that.
This special edition has definitely, we went back and really try and get it as good as we possibly could.
This is wonderful. The fact that we had Danny Glover in this film is just amazing to me. I was blown away when I found out. I'm sure you guys were too. That he was going to do it. And,
Man, talk about being starstruck.
Yeah, really.
Seriously, Leigh and I were just like two dorky film students from...
One dorky film student and his friend.
Right.
And his cool friend. For us to be here making a film with you guys, it was really mind-blowing, and to be given this chance as well. This is not a perfect film, not by a long shot. It's not the film that I really wanted to make, the film that I was in my head, but to be given this opportunity and for it to be a good start and for it to have done as well as it has so far, I can't complain, man.
Yeah, no, and I got to tell you, I always said to you, you were telling me...
This is a start. It's like, people get to see our first film. Not many people get to see the first film of, let's say, like Brian De Palma.
Right.
How many people out there has seen Hi Mom?
Right.
How many people have seen
I have, actually.
Boxcar Bertha? For Scorsese.
Sure.
This is our Boxcar Bertha.
I know, and you got to
people
figure,
get to see it.
And you got to figure for your Boxcar Bertha, this is no small feat that you accomplished, and that's what I was trying to tell you the whole time throughout the film. I remember you saying to me, "God, if I had more time, what I could do with this shot." What you ended up doing is so incredible for the time that you had and the money that you had is so impressive.
Thanks, Cary.
No, I mean it. And obviously, you look at what happened to the film, and I'm certainly not alone in this belief. The film is extraordinary. Look at all these shots and these ideas. You're so creative with the camera that the audience is so interested in what's going on visually as well as the story that's being told that they've really got to pay attention.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
if you get the story, I think what James and I really, the shoot may not have been like this, but I think we spent a lot of time getting the story right.
Yeah.
And so I think if you get your story right, you can miss out on shots, you can miss out on things. As long as the story comes across, people will enjoy the film, because essentially that's what do people go to the movies for, to see good stories, to see and hear good stories.
Did you guys already have in your mind the idea of these little quick flashes and these quick cuts, by the way? James?
Well,
Did
for
you have
example, all these pictures, all these quick flashes of pictures were stuff that we added in post.
Really?
Because there was no footage to work with, to cut
Really?
together. So I'm like,
Wow.
digging deep here, going, what can I use? What can I use to kind of like breach scenes and sequences, like all these flashes that you're seeing
amazing.
right now?
That's amazing.
They're stuff. They were pictures taken by the the still photographer
You're
on
kidding.
set, and I go, man, I'm gonna have to use these shots
That's
because
amazing.
otherwise
That's
I
so
don't even know how
creative.
to tell.
That's so creative.
Yeah, it was
you
a
know,
really
like
good decision.
in amongst all the video stuff as well.
Yeah.
I was so glad that we shot some of this video stuff
Yeah.
because without that, I really don't quite know how to kind of put the film together.
Really, that's amazing. How creative. And this choice, by the way, of doing the fast forward and all of that is so haunting. Every time you see a victim go through, whether it's the guy in the barbed wire or this guy now
I
blowing
don't know
up.
if people out there realize that for this film, I actually used every single shot.
You did, didn't
Just about every single
Wow.
shot, because
Wow.
they were like only 1 or 2 takes on a good
Everything.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much everything. So we would really, there were days in editing where Kevin and I were like thinking, how are we going to put this film together and
Right.
have it make sense?
Okay, this is the little hospital sequence we put together. This, by the way, we should let people know we filmed this entire film in one location. That's the way we were able to do it. This is all shot in a warehouse downtown in LA, and that's how we were
Julie,
able
the
to.
production designer,
She
did
did an
such an amazing
amazing
job
job.
trying to stay one step ahead of us because we would use the same location again, so she would need to go back in there and repaint it a different look
Yeah.
and redress it differently. And I should really give kudos to Julie.
Yeah, these guys work.
And David as well, the
They
DP.
were amazing. They were amazing.
They did such a great
the
job.
The painters, everyone, the whole crew. We'd come in like, what, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you'd find these painters still finishing. They'd been there all night repainting a set, repainting this room, everything. I mean, these guys work so hard. So, yeah, we should really take a moment to give them
Give them thanks. I
thanks
guess.
and respect for the incredible
What about
hard work they did.
working with these actors, Cary? I remember. Do you remember the times Ken would come in and change the lines of the script?
Yes, you played a trick on me. Ken came in and rewrote the scene where I end up calling him terrible racist epithets, and I really freaked. I thought you guys had me there. Because it was like early in the morning.
I didn't know about this. I was too busy trying to make a film. You guys were off having fun.
You did it, didn't you, Leigh? You did it.
No,
right?
well, Ken came up with some of the great lines where his character says to you, I think his character says to your character,
Terrible things.
I've got you, buddy. And then he had written that your character says, why don't you go do my laundry, pal? to which your character says that to him, to which his character, the detective, says to you, you're the one who needs to come clean. and you thought it was real. I saw you in the makeup room.
It was 5 in the morning. I hadn't had my coffee yet, and these were presented to me by Squirrel. You remember our AD?
yeah.
And she did it with a straight face, and she's usually,
AD,
oh, she sold it. And I got these pages, and I looked at them, and I freaked. I went, what the heck is this? And
You were just sitting in the makeup room furiously retyping.
I was retyping. I was going on, and we can't say this. What call him a chink at one point or something. It was unbelievable.
Oh my God, Ken was a barrel of laughs.
He was funny. This is where I get caught by the police to come in and make
Benito.
it right.
What a-
That's Benito.
Cool guy.
He's great.
He's a
He
good
plays
guy.
my lawyer. He's great. And we're trying to figure out a way to come clean without
speak.
giving away too much because I cheated on my wife. And that's what's the premise of the whole thing is so great is that you guys came up with the quintessential story of how to what's the word? I'm losing my train of thought here. But it was a morality tale that was twisted. The most twisted morality tale ever. Here, all these characters have done terrible things, and they're paying a terrible price for it. And yet they're learning from the killer how to appreciate life, which is so unique that you guys came up with that. I mean, most genre films of this kind are just slash them, kill them, no message at all. It's just get the knife out and kill him.
Yeah.
You guys actually had something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, that Leigh and I really wanted to infuse, it with some sort of philosophy behind it, and in some weird respect, like you've got a villain here who forces you to be good. We don't necessarily agree with that, where you're forced to do something, right?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of ironic because we are now living in a society where if you don't conform, you're seen as a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting, you know, and I think this film to a certain degree kind of mirrors that. So I mean, Leigh and I are not really political guys, but we just think it's interesting when people come up to us and make that correlation with what's going on in the world right now.
It's great.
So I
That
think,
to me is a whole other dimension that's just on top of all the
Yeah.
other great things. It's just, to me, it was just made.
no, exactly. I mean, Saw was never really about just killing people in cool ways.
Although that is part of it. This is probably.
Although that's the reason why people are buying the DVD right now.
Yeah.
Look at this.
No.
This is what you showed me. This was part of the short that you guys showed me, and Leigh was in the original, playing the part that Shawnee's playing here, and with this incredible reverse bear trap that she's got on her head, and the dummy's telling her that, you know, there's a timer on it, and if she doesn't find the key in the room, that the bear trap's going to explode, and this is what's going to happen to her head, right? And he shows her on film. And I remember seeing this when you guys sent this little DVD to me, and I thought right away, you two have to be the most twisted people ever to come up with this concept. I mean, look at that. It's and
And there's
right
the
here,
doll.
the doll, which
I
you
love-
made.
I love
right?
the doll that James made.
You made this doll, and not many
Yeah.
people know that you actually made this doll.
I made it in my bedroom. This is what I do in my spare time, my bedroom. I make creepy dolls.
It's quite scary, actually. You come over to James's house. As you approach his house, you just see like a light sparking in the window,
Right.
like a mad
And there's
scientist.
a scarecrow out front,
Yeah,
right?
there's this-
Which is him, really.
Exactly. As you walk down his hall, all the paintings follow you with their eyes.
Right.
You kind of approach his room.
But no, we're not really that twisted in real life.
That's what was amazing to me. I met you guys, and you were so.
So boring.
No, but I got to tell you, I didn't know what to expect after seeing this short that you made of this scene. But I was so blown away by your creativity and and the idea that this little doll comes in and tells this person this is how he or she's going to die. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
It was a bizarre idea to have the doll in there.
Yeah, I mean, the doll is the biggest star of the film.
Really, yeah. His performance is electrifying.
I think he was overlooked by the
Yeah,
Academy.
exactly.
I really do. He was phenomenal. Who operated the doll, by the way, in the movie?
I did.
You did?
I did,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. You weren't letting anyone have touched that doll.
Yes,
You-
man. Only I get to stick my hand up his butt.
He wouldn't come out of his trailer until it was time to shoot. Like, we
Right.
never saw him around
Right.
the set.
Oh, he got phenomenal deal. Best
Who's his
catering.
agent? Does anyone know who
Cary's
his
like-
agent
Who's
is?
his
Phenomenal deal. That's Aaron, right?
Yes, that's Oren,
Oren.
the
Lauren, the
producer.
producer.
Who's about to be.
We're thinking of maybe there are 3 producers. We think of killing off each producers in the sequels.
Really?
In the franchise. If this becomes a franchise.
of killing producers?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's a potential franchise in itself. I remember
It's a film
just
idea
on
in
that scene
itself.
where Ken throws the needle on the table and goes and says he'd been injected with an opiate overdose and does that whole thing. I actually called a doctor in Melbourne. This is before anything had happened. This
Right.
is back in Australia, and I mean maybe in LA they'd understand you. I'm a
Right.
screenwriter. Oh, okay. In Melbourne, I called
These were,
some
sorry,
doctor.
Leigh, sorry to cut you off here. These were the shots that we added in, the additional
Oh,
shots
okay.
that were removed for the theatrical.
Oh, wow.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, cool! You got to see the stomach. We should. Yeah, it's a pig stomach.
That's nice. Nice.
We should talk about that too at some stage.
Yeah, well, I just
You
want to
finish
say
your
that.
story.
Well, I called this doctor and said, so I'm writing a script. What drug is there that you could inject someone with and they wouldn't be able to move, but they can still feel pain?
Yeah.
And this doctor's like, what's this for? And I'm like, it's for a script I'm writing. And he's like, right. And I'm like, so what I need is something like Rohypnol, a powerful. And he's like, okay. And finally he said, after I asked him, he reluctantly said, okay, opiates maybe. But he was suspicious.
So, okay, so you're saying, so basically, because that's one of the questions that we get asked all the time, is how could the guy lie on the floor the whole time?
Well, he would. Oh, well, you're talking about the
Jigsaw
character. Yeah, I mean, people always ask about that. I mean, James and I talked about the idea of someone lying on the floor that long.
Right.
We figure that he, in our minds, there's certain muscle relaxant drugs that you
Right,
can
sure,
take that can
sure.
really slow it down, can even slow down your heartbeat, and it's also something that you can practice enough. I mean, if
Exactly.
you practiced something
Magicians
like
do
that.
it all the time.
And
Yeah.
also, I would say that getting caught for Jigsaw was part of the danger. He didn't necessarily think he might be able to get away with it. Maybe he wouldn't, but that's part of what spurs Jigsaw on, is the possibility of, if I lie in the room with these people, there's a distinct possibility they're going to catch me out, and that's what makes it exciting for him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's how I would answer those questions.
Shawnee did a great job here. She actually had the flu when she was shooting this.
Yeah,
all
Shawnee's
this in time.
fantastic.
She came in for like, what, 2 days to do this?
Plus, she
No,
had those
one day.
strange
One
red
day.
marks
One
on
day.
her lips, like she'd already pretty much worn something, like a jaw trap or something.
Really?
What the hell? Like, look at that. I mean,
Yeah,
all
she
the
came with all-
bruising, everything was real.
No, she was amazing.
Big
And
coincidence.
you know, as an actor, if you got the flu, that's the worst thing. Man.
and,
You're like,
and you have to be in character as
and
well.
she had to cry all the time and be in pain, and she was amazing. So here's another great shot where you get to see the room.
Yeah, beautiful little
So
transition there.
Leigh, do you want to talk about the blood and guts that was actually additional stuff that we shot.
Really?
We after I finished the first rough cut, I thought that this film did not have enough of a kick to it. I felt like
That theory about Hitchcock and
the Hitchcock
went out the window.
I felt like it was way too much. I felt like
less Hitchcock, more Michael Bay.
more Toby Hooper. No. And so we, Dave, the DP, and myself, and Leigh, and the editor as well,
Right.
and actually Eleanor, the makeup artist too. We snuck out one day. We
No way.
we pulled our money together.
No way.
We snuck out for I think we kind of we went out for a reshoot, and we shot additional stuff.
Yeah, we
Get
shot
out
some
of here. Where?
back at
In your-
Lacey Street.
You're
you know?
kidding. You went back there.
Yeah,
went back there,
snuck in.
yes.
And,
You
and
guys-
obviously
you
Shawnee
guys are
wasn't there, so
amazing.
I painted my nails up and my hands with the hands. I've got
Right.
quite girly hands, which my
Which
girlfriend will appreciate.
Yeah.
Quite girly hands, so that helped. And I was sifting through these pig uteri. I don't know
Right.
what the plural of uterus is.
Yeah, I figured that
Would it
sounds
be
about
uteri?
right. That sounds about right.
Because it wouldn't be uteruses.
No. But anyway, you had your hands
Yeah, so
inside.
I had the pig in the hand in the pig uteri and also the pig's stomach. And
Nice.
James shot this extra stuff, and it really I mean
So
James
was
and
that
I've
real
always
blood?
agreed it.
No. You
No,
doused
it
it.
was-
in the- I was
no.
gonna- I was
But
gonna
it
say.
actually did add a lot to it. Just a few seconds of footage. It's amazing how much, you know.
Yeah, people get really grossed out.
I
I
bet
remember
they
at
sure.
Sundance,
Yeah.
people were really freaked out by it.
By that, yeah. Even just the little things we did with Ken's character, just the little extra touches James did. It only has to be a matter of seconds, and it seems to elevate. Just one extra shot can elevate a whole scene to a whole new level.
No, yeah, you did that. You always were careful to stay on a character a little bit longer after they'd said it something or listened to something, and you put that kind of twist on in their performance where you actually wondered whether they were in on it too. You know?
Yeah.
It was really a nice touch.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how this film became a whodunit. James
really
and I
did.
never saw it as a whodunit,
Oh,
but
it totally
everyone.
began-
Everyone walks out of it going, "Oh, it was that guy."
that guy.
It was that guy.
Totally.
It was never about that.
But it
I thought you did a great job, Cary, of kind of really. I mean, a lot of people I know who've seen it were just convinced it was you because you're playing that sort of guy who's got something in his eyes.
Right.
Everyone was like, something's up with that guy. Something's up.
Well, I've played a lot of psychos, I think, and that probably helped people think that I might have been the guy.
That's right.
I played Kiss the Girls.
How was that playing the psycho in Kiss the Girls?
It was great. It was great fun. Great fun. Psychos are always more fun because they're a little bit, twisted, and you get to.
It just comes naturally.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're typecast like me. Usually the parts are a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
More colorful. This girl was
And
great.
here's Mackenzie.
Mackenzie,
yeah.
She was great.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Do you remember off camera where she had to cry for about
I
2 or 3
know.
minutes, and she went into a place.
She just found a place and she
went there, and I thought, how old
I
is she?
couldn't
6?
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. She was so professional.
What 6-year-old has sense memory of
I
that
turned
kind
to
of
Leigh
pain?
and I go, Leigh, look at her, man.
was
You should be
unbelievable.
taking lessons from this girl.
Unbelievable.
I actually saw you with her in the corner one day, Cary, and I was like, isn't that sweet? Cary, the more mature, more experienced actor, is giving Mackenzie advice. And when I got closer, I heard you say, "How do you do it? What is it you're doing? I got to know. I've got a crying scene coming up."
Here's a Tootsie Roll. Just tell me, please. Yeah, no, she was amazing. And here's the wonderful Monica Potter. She came in for what? How many days was she on this?
I think Monica was on it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only in Hollywood do women wake up looking that beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
Monica.
she's very beautiful to begin with.
Yeah,
I mean,
Monica's gorgeous. It's amazing. Like the camera just so agrees with her.
Yeah, yeah. And she had to play someone who's traumatized pretty much from when she gets out of this bed for the rest of the movie.
She spends the rest of the film tied up
and traumatized, and she had to go places too. Man, I was impressed with that. She just came in and
Pretty much everyone spends this film tied up. Who doesn't? Everybody's crippled in some way.
I rang Monica up one night and said, "Hey, Monica, I need to rehearse these scenes with you. Could you just come over to my place and, see if you'll let me tie you up and see what happens?"
Sure. And she accepted, right?
Yeah, of
right
course
away.
she did.
Of course, she was like, "I'm no fool. I know how to get this part." No, she was great, and she hit the ground running, and she was so professional. She knew exactly everyone's lines and her own. And
I remember,
else's.
Cary,
she was great.
One of the originally in the script, you sang a song in this scene. You put the lampshade on your head and sang a song.
Did I?
And we got to that bit of when you first came over to James and I's apartment when we first met you. We did a read of the script, and you got to that bit, and you went, "What is this song?" And I was like, "It can go." I was so
That's right. It was the lampshade
There was
song.
the lampshade song.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to sell somehow.
Yeah. What makes you look at something and take what I have spent hours writing? That was like a razor cut to the heart, but I took it right across the heart for the sake of... No, you were right in the end. I remember rereading that.
I don't know what song you came up with. What was the song?
I don't know if I can...
Go on, sing it. Come on, Leigh. This is a commentary.
I actually don't remember it. I
You
swear
were
I
upset
would.
about the song going? Now you can sing it. You like it? You sing it.
You were definitely along the lines with, "I've got a lampshade on my head," or something stupid like that. And at the time, I thought it would illustrate the Doctor's humanity and and
goofiness and drug taking.
Yeah, drug taking, the drug habit plot, the subplot. You just killed with that decision. But
Who gave you that idea?
No one.
you ended up doing what's Three Little Pigs, Pigsy Wigsy. What's it?
Little piggy this little piggy goes to market.
Which was that a veiled reference to the pig mask? That
Yeah,
Jigsaw
I thought
wears?
it would be nice. I thought, why not?
Anything's better than that stupid song Whannell wrote.
Anything's better than the silly lampshade song that Leigh wrote.
I just wanted to see a famous actor with a lampshade on his head doing a Russian Cossack-style dance.
Now, let me get to this, because speaking of accents and putting on accents and stuff, the next scene coming up, I think, Cary, to try and get Leigh to laugh.
Well, actually, I should say, before you say that, James, we have a special guest on the commentary. We actually have a special guest coming in to chat.
Yes.
We do. Ladies, I don't know, listeners, if this was going to be a special surprise, we were going to reveal at the end, but we have Marlon Brando has come in. We channeled him in, and we're holding a seance. And
That's right, I'm here because I love this film, and it's just, it has, it's better than watching saliva dribble from your mouth for 2 hours. It's better than that. Do you know that saliva, when it dribbles from your mouth, is stronger than steel? Did you know that?
Now, Marlon, when we were on set, what was it that you said to Leigh to try and get him to laugh for
something about a mango sundae,
I referred to the mango cream pudding. It's has a unique topping on it.
It was dripping down the edge of a straight breeze?
Don't interrupt me.
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
It was mango cream pudding that had meringue on it. Meringue. I remember the meringue.
Anyway, that's Marlon.
Marlon was good for getting me to laugh.
Your Michael Caine is so amazing.
I actually came off a motorbike in front of Michael Caine once in London. He actually saw me come off a bike, and he was right there, which is amazing when you come to after coming off a bike to find Michael Caine
You're going
staring
to
at...
actor's heaven or hell.
And you know what he said to me? He goes, "Oh, yeah, well, it makes sense. You need 4 wheels to stay upright."
Doesn't help or anything.
Which actually it kind of brought me to my senses very quickly, He's a great guy.
There would be some passion in it.
this later, okay?
Just leave.
Good night, little girl.
Here's this creepy thing that was like about as scary. I remember everyone, even including myself, just leapt out of their seats when they saw
This
this.
shot right here, when the camera pans across,
It's dark.
it freaks everyone out.
You know.
It's funny how like it's the little things like that that really creeps people out. You know, like with Michael Emerson there under
God,
that.
he was great.
Michael was
This guy was
fantastic.
like almost in character the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you'd look at him.
Michael was enjoying it a bit too much, I think.
He came up with little things here. Did you write this thing, by the way, with the stethoscope?
No.
This was brilliant.
Oh yeah, it was written in
was
the
written,
script.
right?
The stethoscope, listening to the
To
heartbeat.
heart?
and
Oh,
stuff
yes,
like that.
yes.
it's what a choice! And you hear you hear how terrified the kids are through the stethoscope. I mean, that's really inventive and really works for me. Listen to this.
I think it's this scene here that a lot of people have accused this film as being like a snuff film.
Yeah, this is the one that really pushes people over the edge.
I
Michael-
really think,
right? Because Michael was so creepy in this. I mean,
I saw him at the party in New
Yeah.
York that we had, and
With
I
an
couldn't
orange
recognize
beard.
him. He had this huge orange beard. He was like, "Hey," and I was like, "I'll have a tequila and a vodka and soda, thanks, mate." And he's like, "It's Michael."
but he was so good. Look at the little things, the little touches he did of toying with
Yeah.
them and stuff.
Oh.
He was so
Just playing with the gun.
just toying with them. He's just messing with them.
I'm trying to perfect my Michael. It's the rules. It's the rules.
I mean, look at this stuff. He's just, he's treating it all like it's a walk in the park with them,
Do you want to talk a bit about Zepp's motivation here? Because a lot of people have
Well,
asked about that
the
as
Zepp
well.
character's interesting. Not Zap, as many people on the internet seem to. It's Zepp, as in Led Zeppelin, and obviously we've been introduced to him earlier. He's an orderly at the hospital who is, I guess we really only hinted at it in the film, but really he's kind of treated badly by the Lawrence character, and he's someone who's chosen by Jigsaw because he's leading this pathetic life. He's this hospital orderly who's sort of really stepped on by people, and Jigsaw kind of brings him out of his shell and gives him power really by handing him a gun. And so he's actually, the reason he's enjoying, I guess, torturing the family is because it's the first time in his life he's had any power. So he's really enjoying it, and he's a perfect player for Jigsaw's game. He's the type of guy who isn't living his life at all to his full potential. So he works for Jigsaw in two ways. He also, Jigsaw needs help obviously to put these things together, and so Zepp is someone who has been coerced or blackmailed into helping Jigsaw.
He's his Igor.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of an involuntary Igor,
This was a nice touch, I always thought, the idea of all these cuttings on Danny's wall. And it just gives you the idea of the obsession of his character about this whole thing.
These were newspaper clippings that we made up during editing because we needed more shots to cut with.
So you came back and did this
So
too?
I came back. I didn't actually shoot it with a camera. I shot it with a still camera and I digitized it into computer.
Wow.
And we just cut it up. I want to go backtrack a bit to the scene before where Danny Glover was looking through a video camera.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that video camera was the one, at the end of the film where your character's looking at one of the photographs, and that's when you realize it was Zepp in your room. A lot of people think that picture that you're holding in your hand is the same one came from Danny's.
Danny Glover's,
But that wasn't it. The Danny Glover's camera was a video camera, not a still camera.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see later in the film when my character discovers photos that have been left in there. Clearly, the photo of Zepp standing at the window was one of those shots taken by my character
Adam,
while I was observing you.
And it's a lower angle as well.
And almost everything in this film was shot indoors, we should say, including this scene.
Yeah.
This outdoor scene
This outdoor scene is indoors.
was shot in the garage.
We had to make so many choices to save time that that ended up working really well. That's what was so fun. I mean, when you guys came to me and said, we're going to shoot this in 17 days, I thought, great, bring it on. I love a challenge, you know? Seriously, I didn't know how we were going to do it, but honestly, I was like, bring it on, let's go. And that was half the fun right there, the challenge of being able to do this in the short time that we had. And everyone came prepared. That's what's so great about it. Everyone, not just the actors, the entire crew, everybody came. The spirit of getting this thing done in the space of time that we had, to me, is what I came away with as the best memory of this film, because everybody came to work, working really hard and very well prepared and working very long hours. And, you know, my hat's off to everyone for that.
I'll show you.
There was a box of Krispy Kremes on the table next to Tap. I have to say, thanks to this film, I am now addicted to Krispy Kreme donuts.
Really? And you get no product placement for that?
Well, it was.
Was it product placement?
It was part of product
It was.
placement, yeah. That was the only product placement we had.
Really?
And I
Krispy
was like,
Kreme's are the only one who came forward. The Coke said, no way. 7-Up, forget it.
But it's funny, if you see every behind the scenes shots with me, there's me holding a can of Coke.
Really?
Yeah, I don't drink coffee or tea, and that was the only thing I needed. I just needed so much sugar on this set. I was not sleeping at all.
You weren't, right?
I was off my feet 24/7.
You weren't even in a chair. I should point out, by the way, James wasn't even sitting in a chair for the first few days of the shoot, like for about a week.
He couldn't reach. Those chairs are so high.
No,
He's like, somebody get me an apple box.
Honestly, he was sitting on an apple box from time to time, and I thought, my God, get this man a chair. Get him a chair. And he was so, I mean, you were so like brave at being able to just sit on an apple box without even a padding or nothing. And I thought, my God,
well,
get this man a chair. So
my producer said to me, if we get you a chair, that's going to break the budget. We can't afford a chair, James. What the fuck do you think this is? This is not a Hollywood film.
And it's not like we got you a canvas chair or anything. We just got you a little metal chair to sit on. But it was like, James sat and he went, oh, yeah, that is better.
Can I just say that video footage on the screen, shot by me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
story, yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I had to get
there
my
was
actors
nothing.
to start shooting for me.
So wait, so now you're part of the DGA.
Well, look, I don't like it, but if you mention it, yes, I was.
Now, where did you shot these again on still afterwards?
Yeah, we went out because, once again, we needed shots to cut with, and I just couldn't make it work without it. And plus, I felt like it was a look that was already established with the other one already, with the earlier scenes,
Right.
that I could just continue on with it. And it kind of makes sense, too, because it ties it in with Adam's character. He's a photographer,
Right.
so I thought, okay, well, at least the philosophy is still there, and I can,
Now, is this right
make it work.
outside Lacey?
Yes.
That was me driving, by the way, so I don't want to bring it up, but the stunt team does owe me a credit as well as the camera
So
team.
you're part of the
Oh,
Stuntmen's
Leigh, we
Association.
should point this out.
What's
This shot right here.
That's Leigh Whannell.
No, that's you?
Yes, in the full frame version. Okay, what they do with a lot of these films, DVD films nowadays, is all they do with widescreen is they crop it. Okay, which was how we shot the film with. And then for the full frame, they just remove the black mat, the mat that goes on the two black bars on top.
Right.
And in doing so, we could see Leigh's face, because
No
that was
way.
Leigh standing in for Ken.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Where was Ken that day?
Oh, that was part of the reshoot.
Part of the reshoot. It was good for my IMDb page because I played two roles in the full screen version. I play a loose cannon detective and Adam.
So you were nominated twice for
I
this.
was nominated twice.
for the-
It was nothing really.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a giver.
Now Leigh can say he's played a policeman.
Now, tell the audience, James, when you saw this location, you knew instantly, because, I mean, there were so many different rooms and warehouses within this one location. Did you know instantly, okay, this is going to be it. This place is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, what I had to do was I had to kind of rejig the location to the story,
You did?
to the script, but this particular scene right here, Jigsaw's lair, was one where when I first saw it, I was like, man, this has to be. This has to be Tobin's lair, his
Sure,
workshop.
yeah.
And but it was really sparse. Julie, once again, the production designer and
Yeah.
her art directing team, came in and dressed the hell out of it. They did such an amazing job.
Yeah. Sure.
There was a great scene that was cut here where actually Danny's character picked up one of those little figurines inside the diorama of the bathroom and it zapped him.
Just like, just
It
like
was
in the bathroom.
just like in the bathroom where we get zapped, and
You wrote
yeah,
that?
It ended up.
Yes.
Yeah,
On the cutting
I
room floor?
wrote it. Yeah, cutting
like
room floor.
most of your stuff.
Yeah.
Like most of Leigh's good stuff.
There's the famous pig's head, which I don't remember seeing in this version, in the early version. Was that always
Because it was
there?
too dark.
You were asleep by this stage at the Sundance screening. I had to keep nudging you and going, Cary.
The film's too
Now
long.
here's Ned. Ned, who's trapped in this machine.
Ned did a great job as well.
He had to be almost garroted, right?
Yeah, and that
No,
was
not
just
a
off
pleasant.
camera.
Yeah.
What about the catering on this film? Let's hear it for the catering. It wasn't too bad, was it? Cary, what's the best catering you've ever had in your career?
Best catering I ever had was on Superman, where they supplied me with lobsters fresh from Maine every morning, covered in I can't believe it's not butter.
Marlon pops in every now and
Marlon just
then.
comes in. He's eating right now, so he can only occasionally.
No, I got to tell you, the best catering was on Days of Thunder.
Oh,
They
really?
had a lot of
Nice.
money on that catering.
Yeah.
It was, they had ice sculptors for crying out loud.
Wow.
You know you're on a huge movie when you got frickin' ice sculptors outside
Wow.
the catering truck, you know?
I think the catering budget was bigger than this film.
M&M's. Yeah, it was definitely. We had M&M's on this, right? That was about it. Yeah.
Which I ate most of.
Here we go. Here's Ned now, and he's got some kind of strange contraption on him that was really hurting him, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the chains on our ankles.
I don't think that was really acting on his part.
Yeah, no, I think it really hurt him that day.
That was actually a guy we just found in the warehouse, tied up like that. I'm like, we can use this prop. This guy's gonna work.
He was a trooper.
Oh,
And
yes.
here, this is now.
I really like this.
This
scene.
is a great
This was
scene.
this was a fucking bitch of a scene to shoot.
But it's a great idea. It's like, okay, you guys attack me, and this guy's gonna be drilled.
Yeah, it's only really hard because I didn't have a lot of pre-production time to
didn't
plan
have
it all
any?
out. Yeah, I didn't have any, and to do it in the short amount of time that we had, it was impossible because I was literally just making it up on set. People would ask me, "So what's the next shot?" I'll be like, I think, what about Danny? What about a shot of Danny now?
Right.
I was just making it up as I was going along.
That shows how talented you are.
Yeah.
No, actually,
Honestly.
what that shows is how good I am at pretending to be a director. But I love Danny here. He's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see Danny just go into that
And
mode.
Tobin as well.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, this whole scene had a much bigger monologue from Tobin's character.
Right.
And we felt like it wasn't good enough, so we
What's-
cut it out.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly thought it was well written. Nothing wrong with the prose. I mean, the decision to
This
cut
is
it
dark. This
certainly
little
hurt.
knife that he has, it's kind of like Laurence Olivier's knife in Marathon Man. It's like
Yes.
a knife that's on his wrist there.
Yeah, that's a great scene. In
It's
Marathon
great.
Man.
And look at this. I mean, tension is so taut here. I mean, here's Danny, he's been cut across the throat, and here's Tobin, whose face you never see,
Running down
through
like
this
Rocky.
corridor.
Getting
That was
ready.
the last day of shooting, wasn't it? That whole sequence in the corridor down there.
Yes, it was. Yes. This was literally the last shot we did on the entire film.
Yeah.
And like
With
any good
Ken.
arch villain,
Only one
Jigsaw
shot left.
smokes out his lair with fog and
Sure.
beautifully placed lights.
Of course. I mean, the guy was actually the most creative killer in the history of
It was.
filmmaking.
Can we list through Jigsaw's talents?
Yeah, I was about to suggest that not only is Jigsaw a brilliant scientist,
Yeah.
you know, he's a engineer,
He's a
an
ventriloquist.
artist.
he's a ventriloquist,
Yeah.
he's a magician as well.
Yeah. And he wears a cape.
He wears a cape,
And he has-
like
and-
all great villains.
He's a great masks. He creates great masks.
He's really good with
masks.
prosthetics. That's
Yeah.
it. He spent years, at a
Yeah.
film school
How
learning
come
special
this guy
effects
never
makeup.
had a real job? I mean,
Well, this is his job.
Okay.
Is,
What, where did he go to school to learn all those incredible talents?
Arch villain school.
He started
Like, all
next
right,
to
class,
Dr.
listen
Evil. He was in the same year with Dr. Evil, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Okay, we're doing
This was
torture.
the reshoot. I think we pointed this out in the other commentary. This was part
This
of the
was
reshoot.
really dark when I saw
Can you
this.
imagine, like all these close-ups? This was not done in the original. All these close-ups of the blood hitting Singh, hitting the wall.
Amazing.
And the body flopping over. This was stuff that we had to reshoot, and I had to fight my producers to get it. Those
Worth it.
pricks. They wouldn't even give it to me.
Worth it. Oh, you didn't get it? Because you went and shot that, right?
Well, I mean, see, what we have to realize is here's a film that was made with the producer's own money.
Right.
So you can imagine, you know,
Yeah, sure.
I understandably too,
Reshoots?
they want to,
I don't think so.
yeah, they want to make sure I don't spend too much, which I did not. But we snuck out anyway and said, "Fuck you, I'm doing these reshoots."
I'm so glad you did. I think that audiences will be too. I mean, you knew what you needed to make this
it just
film
did not
a
work
whole.
without it.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out as well with Tobin, with Jigsaw's his whole dressing, you know, like that boxing ring kind of, that boxer robe that he had on. Initially, when this film was in my head, back when we were designing this film in Melbourne, I had envisaged a much more fantasy-looking film. Mm-hmm. A very fantastical-looking film, one that wasn't grounded in reality as much. And I pretty much wanted Jigsaw to be dressed like Little Red Riding Hood.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted him to wear this hood that was completely red.
Wow.
And when I did not really get that vision when I was shooting the film right, when I got to those bits with him dressed in that red robe, I thought this just looked terrible. This looked really silly. It just looked completely out of place because now it's a much more realistic looking film.
Sure.
So last minute, I had no choice. I was like going, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Sure.
So
It was either that or the Mexican wrestling.
gosh, yes, yeah. So I just took Tobin's robe and I just turned it inside out.
Is that what
And
you
that's
did?
why that's all I did. That's why it's black now with the red lining
That's
around
great.
it.
That's great.
And people go, how come he's dressed like a boxer? But that was the reason.
That's great.
He wasn't meant to be a boxer.
Turn off the lights. What? Turn them off now, please.
This is the only shot where we actually get to see the other side of the bathroom because it's always looking from the other angle.
Right. And this is where Adam's figured out to turn the lights out, and that there's a clue in the room somewhere that we'll see. There it is. The X marks the spot.
I love glow-in-the-dark stuff. I'm a big fan of it.
And there it is.
We spent a long time trying to work out how do we make it glow? How do we make glow-in-the-dark paint stand out on film?
Yeah. And you end up with a little
Yeah, and then we just
Little
thought,
light.
why don't we just project it?
projected, yeah.
With the light. And that was all in one shot.
No, we came back and reshot a lot of this, I remember. This was something we came back and reshot.
Do you remember this day
shot? Remember
when
this?
we were shooting this, right? When we were shooting you smashing the wall.
Yeah.
You were ripping away the tiles and you threw a big chunk of it aside and you hit Dave Armstrong, the DP, right in the nuts.
Did I really?
And
God, I
in the
didn't know that.
outtake,
Oh,
and I kid
no.
you not, in the outtake, right, the camera just went boom. I'm like, what the hell?
No way.
He just swung, and
Did it really?
he kept it in there, and he swung the camera back, and he held it out until the
God,
end of the
poor
shot.
guy. I didn't. Dave, I'm so sorry you're hearing this.
No,
I never.
don't be sorry.
I had
You know,
no
I mean,
idea.
We used to kick the guy in the balls every day.
Every chance we get, you know, so he's used to it.
We
Sorry, Dave.
metaphorically
Wow.
and literally kick him in the balls every
He's a tough
time
guy. We
see
should
him.
point out to the audience, Dave Armstrong on DP was a trooper. This guy
He
is
was.
a big, like a linebacker type dude, and a real fun guy to have. I mean, he was game for anything.
Sure, he looks like a porno director, but the guy's he's a great man. He just needs to get rid of the handlebar mustache.
No, he was great. He really was. He held that camera for a lot of There's a lot of
He did.
handhelds on this movie, and
I
this
think
very heavy
80%
camera.
of this film was handheld,
Yeah.
85%.
And he had it on his shoulder the whole
whole
time.
time.
Man. And that's not, if for any camera operators out there, you can appreciate the weight that
Those
this guy
cameras
had.
were like fridges.
Yeah.
It was like a fridge on his shoulder. He's a big guy.
This
And
I like.
See all these stuff that I keep cutting away to?
Yeah.
These were stuff that I did not get on actual film.
Really?
So I had to cut to the video stuff.
Yeah. This was a
Thank
nice
God
night.
for the
This was
video,
so
because
funny.
Blood, yeah.
Thank goodness for the video.
Right. And here's a little note. The cigarettes are harmless, I promise. Smoking is only, I can't remember what it said. Only poisonous when it ends in bloodshed.
You don't need a gun to kill Adam.
You don't need a gun to kill Adam. And now I decide that I'm gonna poison him with the cigarette, but I'll try the phone first.
It's
And of
interesting
course
that we've
it's
got
the-
two non-Americans trapped in this bathroom.
Both playing Americans, yeah.
Right? It's in keeping with the intercontinental version of this film. It was made with Canadian money, Australian actor, British actor. And
Was your
Asian
agent?
Australian director.
Asian Australian director. You couldn't get more cosmopolitan than that.
Oh, it was beautiful. Was your agent wondering what the hell you were doing, Cary? Just going, what is this? What is?
Yeah, he was curious. He was curious. This is great. This is, again, all part of one location that we used. Another part of
The
this
scene
warehouse.
with between you and Danny in the car, it was in the same garage.
In the same garage.
And then later, what's the car chase? It was in the same garage as well.
Now here I am coming out now, and the gate to the garage is locked.
Do you remember this scene originally, Cary? It was so meticulously, it was so complexly
Oh my
storyboarded.
God. Beautifully storyboarded by you.
Yeah, it was so full on, right? Get on set, they go, James, you have 2 hours to shoot everything.
I remember you were really, you never get upset, but I could see in your eyes you were a little panicked by that, because you had basically throw out your entire...
Oh, you have to throw out everything, yeah.
Yeah. But, and again, I said to you, even with what we've got, it's still...
Here's some
gripping
leftovers
stuff.
from
The idea that you shot using this little mirror on the ceiling that makes sure that... And here, this car door
It's the
opens.
red hood. It's the red coat.
And this
is
red
the
coat.
only one with the red coat
Yes.
survives. Can I ask you, Cary, what would you do in real life if you were in a parking garage and you looked over and a man in a red coat with a pig mask on was crawling towards you?
Probably the same reaction that I give right here in the film. This was pretty intense, and James was saying we had so little time to shoot the scene, and he had to basically throw away his entire shot list and come up with something new. And I thought you did a great job with coming up with a very scary moment that really everyone freaked in the audience when they saw it.
Yeah, it was pretty much put together in editing. All those quick cuts. I mean, that's the other thing too. The speed that we were shooting this film at really informed the final filmmaking as well. It really informed the overall look and the aesthetic and the pace of it all. So it's it's bad and good at the same time.
By the way, I'm just noticing my foot there. Is that the idea that came up with for the poster by looking at our rotten feet on the floor? Was that the idea that you came up with for the? Because the idea that you had for the poster was just an eye looking, which I thought was great. It was just an eye peeking through a hole.
Yeah, and it was basically the idea that I had for the poster was a jigsaw puzzle piece.
Yeah, that's
with,
right.
with one piece taken out and then in its place there's an eye looking through
I
it.
think it's beautiful. I thought it was a really great idea.
I don't know why they didn't go with it.
Oh, they made so many different posters for
Well,
this movie.
the Australian poster, eerily enough, it was so close to that.
Really?
The Australian poster they came up with, Hoyts, the company who distributed the film in Australia, had a jigsaw piece missing from kind of a tile surface with an eye staring through.
Really?
And that was without, obviously
Without you saying
talking
anything.
to James or
Really?
anything. So
Yeah,
So who came up with the idea of the foot, the severed foot thing?
that's Lionsgate.
That's them.
Yes.
You were quite happy when you were presented with that.
I look, I cannot complain with the marketing of this film. I think
did a
they
great
did an
job.
amazing
They really
job.
did.
Tim
selling this
Palin
film.
over at Lionsgate did some great work for the posters
Yeah.
and the ideas for the different, the different. I mean, when you're a film with a budget this small and you're competing with studio films, you really need to hit people over the head.
Sure.
You need to grab their attention.
And it did. The first poster I saw was Shawnee with the reverse bear trap.
Yeah,
right?
the
Which
jaw
really,
trap on, yeah.
I remember seeing a giant version, a cutout version of that in the theater, and people were walking past it going, "What the heck is that?" And it grabbed their attention immediately because no one knew what it was. They were
Yeah.
like, "What is that?"
I love seeing a friend of mine's just been emailing me pictures of all the Shawnee and the jaw trap posters all over France,
Oh yeah,
just all over the metro,
Sure.
all over the streets. They
Yeah.
love it.
that's great.
There's a quote on the poster in French, which I obviously can't read. I can't read French, but I like to think it says, "Acting genius equaled only by writing genius."
Of course, that's what it said.
I mean,
I'm sure it was a reference to another film.
Yeah, it was like,
But
Buff, Whannell, Buff is just the greatest. Not only can he write, he can act too. What can this person not do? So here am I. This is me dipping the cigarette
Into the
in
blood.
poison, into the blood, which is poisoned.
you know what I like best about the blood was just every day we
Yeah.
came to set, like the blood just grew more
Yeah,
and more and
yeah.
more.
Well, they had to because it would dry and evaporate, and they didn't want to have any.
And then we need to pour more
pour
onto
more
it.
onto it. Yeah. This was a great idea. Switch the lights off and mess with them.
I love the black gloves that that Michael's character wears here.
Yeah.
One of the many references to Dario Argento's work, you know, the black gloved killer. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff James and I love that we had a lot of fun throwing into this film. You know, just things like
Little
the black
references
gloves.
like that,
yeah, little touches. I think that that. Like James was talking about earlier, that red hood. I mean,
Sure.
you don't need to have that, but I mean, actually, in some ways, you know, James and I wanted this film to have that sort of fantastical touch, almost a comic book touch or a slightly heightened touch to it.
Well, it does have that. It has that element. It's very heightened. The colors, the choice of colors that you had for this film, the idea for the red inside the box, the contrast, the blue, and you know, you're very interesting. The colors that you use, the color schemes, the greens and the reds, and they're very. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of the Italian artists, just, you know, Italians in general,
Really?
Italian culture, I should say, and you know, I really admire, you know, a lot of the Rembrandt artists. Renaissance artists. And I guess I just like to give my film that kind of look, because those are the kind of artwork that I'm really inspired by.
Yeah.
So that's
and you're
what I
also
want.
aware of what colors do to people viscerally when they see it. That change apparently it has a very strong.
The color
effect
plays
on
a big
people's-
part.
yeah.
Yes.
Certainly, when people watch Saw, the first thing they think of is Italian Renaissance art.
Or Renaissance acting in this scene.
Exactly. Now, can I just point out for anyone out there, my character is pretending to die here.
Yeah.
It's not an actual
How
death.
many takes did you do on this, Leigh?
I think
That was the first take.
that was the
was
first
it?
take. It was
That was
just
the
the
first
Even
and
though you
only
did
take.
26 takes, you printed the first and.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. It's that magic that you get with the first take.
It's always that magic.
No, it was very funny. And then he zaps you, so we find out right here that they have got us on some sort of electrical wiring system.
Don't go into it too much, Cary. It's best
Okay.
not to.
Best not to, okay.
It's best not to explain that
Not to
thing
examine this stuff.
too much.
Of course, it's electrified. Why wouldn't it be?
Just do what I do and let it kind of like glaze over you. If there's anything out there that you guys don't understand, just, you know, just sit back and go, whatever.
I've always thought that moment with Cary was a slip into reality where Cary goes, "Stop acting." I was half expecting you to go, "Be real, man, Meisner. Come on."
But that's the thing about this film, by the way. Even if you can't follow all the little interesting... No, if you're out there, seriously...
There's plenty of people out there.
Honestly,
Get
I
out.
don't think there are that many, because
No,
it's
I'm
fairly
kidding.
well, you know, fairly easy to understand. But even if you do go to the bathroom for a long period of time and come back and miss some important plot points, you can pick it up pretty quickly with this movie.
I mean, you
Because the
can't-
characters are so well developed and the storyline within what happens to these characters is so well developed that you'll pick it up pretty quickly.
Certainly, I mean, when you make a film, you can't, you have to account for all the unintelligent people out there, and I think we kept that in mind.
Just
What are you
point
trying to
out
say, Leigh?
That was spoken by Leigh Whannell. He lives at this address.
Oh, please don't send us your emails. Yeah. Please.
I should actually take this time out and talk about how great of a job Charlie Clouser did, the guy who did the music, and I really love the music here. And here was another bit too, where when I went back for the special edition, I took out, actually for this special edition, I took out all the songs that were placed in there for the theatrical version to help CDs, right? And I went back to what I originally wanted, which was just all Charlie's music.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Charlie's piece of music
That's
here
a
is
nice
really
shot.
great.
Look at that shot.
Yeah.
How you've managed to keep the picture of me in focus as you pull out through the keyhole. That's a beautiful shot.
Mr. Clouser wrote the score to this film in 3 weeks.
Did he really? He did a great
3
job.
weeks straight.
Yeah, he really did.
He did not sleep once.
Really? This is great.
I hope
This,
we're not
remember, we talked
incriminating
about this is
Charlie.
very much like a scene out of Rear Window when I
This
think
was
it's
the one
James
saying-
Stewart. James
Yeah,
Stewart.
James
Jimmy
Stewart.
Stewart's got that camera and he's using the flash to try and blind the killer. And this is so great that you chose to use that for the scene? Because it really, not many people know that scene.
This was
from
my
that film.
favorite scene on paper. On the script, this was my favorite scene. When we came time to film it, it was the worst.
Really?
Yeah, because
Someone there?
because once again, what I had was much more complex than what I ended up with. So in doing so, it's a psychological thing. You feel like, if you didn't get what you set out to do, therefore it's,
But maybe in a way,
it's
I mean,
good.
I can play devil's advocate here, but even in simplifying it, just keeping it over his shoulder and keeping it a simple shot and just using the flash, now you're in front of him. I mean, it still works. It's still,
Oh yeah,
still
definitely.
very
It's definitely
heightened.
now the most effective scene in the film, I think.
I wish
and I
that-
think sound has definitely a big part to play with it too.
I wish that James and I could erase our brains and watch
this
the
film.
film
Right.
Yeah.
just as strangers to see
Yeah.
what works for us, what's effective.
Sure. Maybe you have to watch it again 10 years from now. And
Yeah.
You know?
Once the Alzheimer's really kicks in.
Well, then that would be a week from now.
Exactly. With my glue sniffing habits, it's in the post. But
And there's the doll. I mean, if
doll's
you're
popped up.
already the audience who knows
that
the
doll
is-
wasn't meant to be in this scene, but I remember when we sent the
Oh,
script
yeah.
to Greg, the producer, he goes, "We need more doll." The
Really?
doll
Is that what he
rules."
said?
Yeah,
and
he
so
did. He
he's
goes,
like,
everyone loves the doll. Let's bring
kidding.
him in for one more
No
scene.
way.
And this was the only scene I could
And
think
he was
of
available,
sticking
wasn't
him
he?
in.
Yeah, he was available.
Yeah. After fierce negotiations
With
with
his
his
agents.
agent,
Yeah.
we managed to get him. James and I, to all the people out there who always sort of titter and giggle in the theatre when you've got a character in a horror film in the dark going, "Who's there?" investigating.
Right.
In our defence, okay, yes, we have succumbed to the horror movie
Cliche.
I guess you could say, of a character instead of running out the apartment door of investigating the
Well, it's
strange
usually
noise.
an 18-year-old woman with no bra going, "Who's there?"
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Very clearly, like this,
Here
like
we
what
go.
we've got here.
Yeah, one thing I will say in our defence is that we never go for the false scare. One thing we don't like in horror films is the person opening the closet door to
the
have the
cat
cat jump out, or
right,
the
yeah.
closing. My favourite of the false scares is when your best friend bangs on the mirror and goes, "Hey!" and everyone goes, "Huh!" and then
Right.
they go, "You forgot your wallet," or
Right,
something
right,
like that.
right,
Things
you
in
know?
the window of the car.
Right.
or
They
Yeah.
do-
something.
They do it
Yeah.
so often.
Or
now.
closing the mirror,
Right,
the mirror
right. And
cabinet
there's someone
door.
there
There's someone
in the
behind
shower.
you.
Yeah.
You know, like if James and I feel if you're going to scare someone in a film, if something's going to jump out at you, don't have it be your friend returning your wallet. Have
the
it be a
cat,
guy in a pig mask.
Yep.
Hiding in your closet.
Exactly.
Do you want to tell people where you came up with the idea for the pig's mask, and how did you come up with that? I mean, really, that's a really
Carrie,
scary...
that's just another one of my fetish that I don't want to get into right now. This is not the right place
Or the right time.
the right time.
If we can just tick through James's fetishes in
No,
this
really,
film,
we want to
have,
get into James's psyche right now.
we have the
We
dolls.
need to examine
the
your
dolls
brain.
have always been a big
The
one.
audiences want to know, where does that come from?
I think I just really wanted a pretty grotesque imagery, and originally what I wanted was actually I wanted Jigsaw to wear a real pig's head.
Like Lord of the Flies kind of thing?
Yes, definitely like that. I wanted it to be a real pig's head until I discovered that we couldn't do that because we didn't have the budget, to
Get a real pig's head.
Well, not
Or to get an actor to wear one.
no, more to make a prosthetics mask that looks like a pig's head.
Yeah, everything always got whipped up in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, everything was done so at the last minute, and nothing kind of looked right. Despite having such a great team, just purely due to the lack of budget and resources to work with, you're really forced. This is a low-budget film. No one realizes that.
People watching it, when we went to the first screening, we all went there together to Sundance to see the first screening. People come into the audience and sit down and watch the movie. They don't know what the budget of the film
Yeah,
is.
of
They
course,
don't know
They don't
that we
care.
shot this
Yeah.
thing in X number of days. They come and they want to be entertained, and they were
Yeah.
thrilled and excited by
Yeah.
it all. You and I can sit back, all three of us, and go, wow, what we could have done.
of
And
course.
But in the end, the audience is either moved and excited by it, or they're not. And you
I know,
guys
it's almost,
accomplished
the audience takes ownership of it, so it's almost like it's not really yours anymore.
Yeah,
It's-
you give
it's
it
the
up.
audience's.
The really interesting thing I find as a director is, when you watch your own film, your own work, you don't see all the good things that you did get. You see all the things you did not get, and you
Well, that's
dwell
the-
on that.
Well, it's the same with actors. believe it or
Yeah,
not.
exactly. I'm sure that's the same with any artist.
No, it's
out
true.
there. Not that I'm
I-
calling myself
costume.
an
I
artist.
sat in a movie with a costume designer one time. She was like, "Those costumes suck. Look at the way that jacket's hanging on that guy." I think it's true for any artist.
Yeah.
They all sit there and go, "What could
You see the
be-
fault.
You see the
in your
faults,
own work. Yeah.
But just in terms of the pig mask's origin, in terms of story-wise, we thought it would be a good representation of how Jigsaw kind of sees himself. You know, here's a guy who's rotting from the inside, so he's wearing this kind of pig mask, you know. It's a good representation of how he...
That's what Leigh tried to justify anyway. He's supposed to tell himself.
But how do you come up with a pig versus like a goat? Or
you saw it in a Silverchair film clip or something, and you were like, man, pig masks look scary. I remember the Tomorrow film clip.
Is that what it was?
The American version of a Silverchair music video.
So here we are back in the parking lot now, and now we realize that it's Adam who's been taking pictures of Dr. Lawrence. And I look around and I want to know, I don't know where that flash came from, but I never really
the only
explore it
surveillance
much.
photographer in the world that uses a flash. he's had 2 private eyes in a row fire him. You can't use a flash. You want to be a gumshoe kid.
Throw the pictures, and you threw them really well, I must say, because they landed
A lot of things get thrown in this movie, didn't they, Cary?
That was absolutely right at my feet. It was perfect. And this is where I realized
once again,
now,
I'm so grateful that we went out and took those pictures.
Remember that?
Yeah. I do, yeah.
We just ran out on the street.
Ran out one day and just...
I used your glasses.
Yes.
Right?
Grabbed a bunch of
and
pics.
By the way, we want to make a special shout out to Starbucks for letting us shoot there downtown. I really appreciate that.
Never enough time to give shout outs to Starbucks.
They had no idea what we were doing. Well, listen, they had no idea. We showed up, you know, wanting to take pictures, and oftentimes, you know, large corporate companies like that are going to shut you down right away, but they were very cool.
You're so full of it. Face it, Larry, we're both bullshitters.
I think my favourite line of the film's coming up. Why not?
Shows you what's put right in front of it.
I like this scene between you and I here.
Yeah.
So what, we actually going to start watching the film now?
Yeah. Let's not break tradition. Oh, actually, it's not coming up yet. We've got this scene.
Referring to the film. I remember filming on this particular set that day and thinking how fake it looked and how much it looked like a set.
Is that what you felt?
Yeah, really? I did when I was shooting it that day, and actually, you know, looking back at it now, I actually quite like it. I like the look of it. I think
Dave did a great job with
Dave
hiding
did a great
too.
job, yeah, and Julie did a really good job of hiding, I guess, the cheapness that is the, you know.
Yeah.
This
the actual
version looks
location.
great.
It does. It looks great. I mean, the colors are great.
This is the time version, yes.
It looks beautiful.
This is one of my interns that I'm cheating or attempting to cheat with.
Who's the character in the film, though?
The name of the nurse?
Well, you said that this was one of the your interns that you were cheating with, and then I said, yeah, but who's the character in the film? It was...
Okay, very good.
So I know that sometimes the sophisticated Aussie humour flies right over your British head, Cary.
Here we go.
Here we go. Bloody hell.
Bloody hell.
This is a very David Lynch moment.
I like this. This kind of reminded me of Hitchcock too, in Dial M for Murder, where you got an extreme close-up of somebody in the foreground, and then the phone is right there, and it's for you, and it's like, what? Me? What?
Me?
You know? And I walk right up into frame and take the call. I really like.
It was actually your agent, wasn't it, Cary? Going, when are you going to be finished with this thing?
What the hell are you doing on this movie?
Hence the look on your face as well. Did I get that part?
I know what you're doing.
This reminded me, by the way, of a film I saw when I was a kid called, I think it was like Twilight Zone or something like that, where the guy calls people and he just calls them up and goes, I saw what you did and I know what you've done, or something like that.
Right, yes.
And it really screwed me up as a kid, that movie, because he calls a bunch of teenagers. And it's teenagers calling people. That's
I know the one you're talking about. Teenagers prank calling.
Prank calling, and they call a real killer.
Accidentally, and they say, we know who you are and we saw what you did. Yeah.
And he makes a date with him because he wants to kill him now because he's convinced they saw what he... And I always thought of that when I saw that
Apologies to all those IMDbers who know every movie verbatim and we just misquoted it. We're sorry. If it's, I saw what you did and we know what you've done, or
know what you've done,
I saw what you did and I know what you look like.
I would have asked for a hell of a lot more.
What does that mean? Does that mean you saw what happened to me?
What I saw was you get into your car, that's it.
This is where the two characters start unraveling. Do you...
I like that about this, because you and I, we kind of worked this out in rehearsals, that we realized there was a nice juxtaposition of the film starting out as Dr. Lawrence being the sort of paternal, cool, kind of handling the stress well because he's a doctor and what have you, and you're freaked out from almost drowning at the beginning and you don't know where the hell you are. And this sort of, by halfway through the movie, James, you were like, yeah, let's see if we can switch this really well and see how we can work that. And it was a nice touch, because by the end, Lawrence is completely unraveled.
And it's Adam.
And it's
the
Adam
one who's
that's-
control
yeah.
telling you to cool it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Love that reveal of Danny.
Yeah, it's a nice reveal.
Stepping out of the dark.
And he knows it, too.
He's chewing up every minute of it.
He knows it. He's great. This is a nice shot.
Yeah, this was the first day with Danny as well that we shot.
Yeah. I like this choice of this angle, too.
Guy who paid me.
Just trying to break it up a bit. This was me going, you know what, guys? I'm sick and tired of the handheld. Let's put the camera on a tripod.
Right.
And,
Stop him from harassing me. The guy
Right, this is where we learn that Danny has become this obsessive, crazy cop that has got fired off the case and has now become obsessive about it. And I'm trying to find out why Adam has just been following me and taking pictures.
You know what, Adam? You're not a victim of this game. You're part of it.
Oh, really? Obviously.
This is actually the line I repeated.
I told you, he's not a cop. He's a bottom feeder.
That line, when you said he's a bottom feeder just like you, I went, he's a bottom feeder just like me, and repeated what you said. And I thought, that's going to be great. That's going to make the final cut.
yeah, that was the first thing I cut out. That was the first thing that had to go.
No. Lee's not happy about this. For you listening in on this, Lee's got a look on his face like...
No respect, man. No respect.
They could make
It's
another
pulling a
film
Rodney
out of the
Dangerfield.
great moments I improvised that you cut out.
That's the next DVD. The improvised scenes that weren't in the movie of Leigh Whannell.
I think it's going to warrant an extra disc.
But Lee, you don't understand, man. It's all the stuff that I cut out that makes it great.
It's what I don't say.
And this is great, by the way. I just want to say
says
this
so
is a
much.
scene where I have a Polaroid of my wife and child, of them tied up. And this is where you can actually see this is where he takes a Polaroid, I think, of them, whatever. Anyway, the Polaroid I have in my hand is of the two of them. And both these girls put such trauma into the Polaroid in their eyes that this Polaroid was so incredibly moving for me to look at that I didn't need to do any sense memory in this scene just to look at this Polaroid, these two little, my little girl and Monica just in tears, because they really, they really gave it their all, even for the Polaroid, you know?
The still,
Which
yeah.
shows you just how dedicated these guys are.
No, they were really good.
Here we come to the moment we were talking about earlier where some people believe that the photo we're looking at here was taken by Detective Tapp from the apartment across the street, but in fact it's one of mine.
Yes, that's not the case.
Yeah, we should explain that Tapp moved in across the street so that he could put a surveillance on.
He's chasing after the doctor.
I really think we should do another commentary track just to explain all the so-called plot holes.
Well, you know,
What
the
do you
Shaun of the
think?
Dead DV did that. They had a good,
Oh, really?
They had a plot holes explaining segment.
Oh, cool.
It's a good idea.
That's great.
Now that we've mentioned it on the commentary, we probably can't rip it off.
So now here is where I find a
There we
picture
Zap.
of
That's
Zap.
a picture taken by Adam, the Adam character, and not Tapp.
And I know who he is because he is an intern that works.
It's Michael.
I'm gonna take great pleasure in seeing you pay for this! You bastard fuck!
A little bit of hamming on my part here. Thank God James got away to Leigh here.
Leigh goes, look, up in the sky. There's a bird. There's a plane.
And this is great. This is now you realize that the clock is ticking, and it's just your classic moment of realizing that their time is up.
That guy, he's short-sighted, the character Zep, which is why he needs a huge clock instead of just checking his watch. I love Michael's delivery of this line here where he goes, I'm afraid Dr. Gordon's time is up. And I'm afraid it has to be you that tells him he's failed. Ready? Let's have a listen to it and see
he's
just
great.
how close that was. I think you'll find it was almost perfect.
Really?
You ready?
I think it's great that you've pretty much offended everyone who's worked on this film right now. All
Really?
the
Oh, no.
actors. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Michael.
Michael rules.
Here he comes, ready?
Dr. Gordon's time is up. Now I've got to do what I've got to do. And I'm afraid it has to be you that tells him he failed.
I love that. Michael's a hero of mine.
Michael's great.
Yeah,
Michael,
he really
a shout
is.
out to you.
Yeah, he's great.
He's not going to watch this DVD. He's probably doing Broadway in New York or some important thing.
No, I'm telling you, a lot of the crew walked by him in the morning while he was just having his coffee, and he had that look in his eye. And he was I swear, they thought he was in character. He probably was.
What was that story Dave Armstrong told us about saying, how do you do that? How do you torture the mother? And Michael just said to him,
It felt like it was the right thing to do. Just something to that effect. Yeah.
He was into it. You gotta love him for that. I mean, everybody
But
showed up
Michael-
so into their parts. in
Yeah.
this,
Michael
you know?
is like one of the funniest guys. You know,
He's
got
very
that real.
funny.
He's got that real dry New York sense of
Yeah,
humor.
yeah.
You know,
But
just
he's a
really
theatrically
dry.
trained actor. This guy's done Shakespeare and everything.
So is Tobin.
Really?
Yeah, that's Tobin's background as
Really?
well.
that's what we do. We take Shakespeare-trained actors and go, now lie on the floor for 2 hours. See if you can do King Lear from down there, buddy.
But look how incredibly into it all these. Everybody showed
you were
up.
there
Oh,
every
man.
morning I rocked up. You were there already. You were set up with your laptop. You'd been there an hour before I
Cary
got
would always get on
Suffer.
set before anyone else would.
Yeah.
I was
Why
like, man,
was
that is
that?
dedication.
Did you actually leave at night, or were you?
I left at night. I did. I did. I suffer from something called riser fever, which means I'm early for everything, and it drives my wife crazy. But I have to be early. I hate being late,
Right.
and it allows me to chill and take my time and prepare and think about the day and how it's, how the scene's gonna go.
Okay.
In this case, 5 or 6 scenes.
Every day you would get there an hour early and go, today I have to scream. And then I think after that I have a screaming shot, and then I get covered in blood, and then
Yeah.
that's it.
This scene here always get the audience. People are always yelling at the screen, going, "Shoot him! Shoot him! Shoot him!"
Here we go. the
I
scissors.
actually asked Monica that if she felt like her character would shoot him, because if she had said yes,
Yeah.
I would probably have her shoot him in the foot or something
Really?
and get away with it, you
Sure,
know.
yeah.
But at least I reckon if I had done that, the entire audience would have cheered. You know,
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
"Yes!"
With
Right,
Monica's
right.
character, just put one in his leg.
Put one into
His
him.
leg,
yeah,
yeah,
I reckon. That was my biggest learning curve from this film. Do not
Every-
listen to the actors. No. no, I'm kidding.
Well, every single person in the theatre, every time we watch it, goes, "Oh, come on, shoot him!"
But that's good because you didn't.
Yeah.
It made them pay attention
on
because
edge, yeah.
kept them on edge.
And my favorite bit there before with Danny taking cover, when he's shooting at them, taking cover behind this tiny little pole.
Yeah. This was a very violent and difficult scene to shoot for you guys. I know that because you had to really rehearse it and
because I think we only had like that breakaway vase. We only had like 2 of that, so we could really only afford 2 takes.
Right.
If we had fucked it up, if the action had not played out straight,
and
or
guns
properly-
are a problem too. Do you remember the guns wouldn't fire and
Yeah.
that was a nightmare for you too. So
Yeah.
you had a great take and suddenly
See, Leigh and I don't come from a gun-wielding country, so first day when they brought up the guns, I was like, "Oh, look, guns, man!"
Right.
And everyone else on set was like, "Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Big deal."
what you should know if you've
I've
never
got one
worked,
of these at home.
if you've never worked on a film that involves guns are unpredictable when you deal with blanks, and they don't always work, and so it can be kind of a nightmare for a director because he can get a great take for an actor and he's supposed to shoot it.
I know. And the gun doesn't go
Doesn't
off.
go off,
let's
and,
say.
and,
you
it's
have to do it again. Yeah.
When James would hold that, I think it was a prop gun to my head and say, "Act, you bastard!"
Now, this
act."
is a whole new take on the chase sequence. No, I don't think I've ever seen a chase sequence. I mean, let's
That
face
cheap.
it, right?
I've never seen a chase sequence
Right.
done that
But
shoddily.
Guess what? It's effective. It's effective. It may be cheap, but it's effective.
It is.
This is a nice job. I like the idea of you throwing bits of...
Stuff. I think I connected with your head at one stage
Yeah, I
there,
think you
Cary. I'm
did,
sorry
yeah.
about that.
I think he was aiming for your head too, Cary. I think you should really take it up with him now.
Steal my limelight, you bastard. Now, you said to me at one stage, Cary, and I thought, is he just being nice here? You said this was the most fun you'd ever had on a film shoot.
It is. There's no question the most fun I had. You guys were fun. You didn't take yourselves too seriously, and yet you're incredibly passionate about your desire to make this film and to do it the way you wanted to do it, and you had great improvisational ideas for when you couldn't do the scenes the way you wanted to do it, and you were very creative and fun to be around. I mean, look, the environment to me, the best environment to be creative is a fun environment. There's no question. To be in a relaxed environment is the best environment to be in, to be creative. And you guys kept a very relaxed set and a fun set. Yeah, and a very light set, considering we've got a story and a movie that's very violent and very dark. And
dark and nihilistic.
And if you live in that space all day, it can become quite exhausting, you know?
Yeah. A lot of people always question why you didn't take your shirt off here, Cary, and go to the phone. And James's answer to that is...
Thanks, Leigh. Thanks for...
we don't want to see Cary with his shirt off.
I didn't say it, Cary. No, I mean, I just think, by that stage,
he's crazy.
Lawrence has really lost it, and he's not thinking straight, and that's the whole idea. It's not about getting the phone. It's not about getting the phone, and therefore he'll go back to normality. It's not about that, that represents...
It's lost it. He's lost it.
He's lost it. Yeah, that he needs to go from that to cutting his own foot off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, why don't he, just cut the chain or the lock?
Yeah, some people suggest. We've had a lot of people suggesting that why don't they just get the gun and shoot the chain off, shoot the lock off? And well, I mean. First of all, they couldn't. to that I say, you've stumped me. You've got me. I should have thought of it.
Yeah, it was just
the movie over.
I'm sorry.
They couldn't get the gun for a start. They couldn't quite reach it, and also you can't shoot a chain, a big heavy chain like that. Nor can you saw through it with one of those crappy rusty hacksaws. There's no way you could saw through. If it was really high tensile and steel like handcuffs,
like Mad Max.
Mad Max,
right?
Of course.
That chain's made of high tensile steel. If you use a hacksaw, you can cut through it in about 10 minutes. Or your ankle in about 2.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Steve,
you think I look funny, don't you, Max?
I want to know what you're doing.
Now, I really cut myself.
I know.
This is what I should point out
That's
too.
not real. That's not really my blood.
The second shot.
But I really did cut myself here.
That makes me even me wince because that may have been the blood.
Notice this sequence has been extended much longer. This was the stuff I went back and put back in.
Back in, okay.
Yes.
Just pointing it out every time. It's like,
very well.
There's extra footage.
Extra footage, yes.
Well, it's a very dark sequence. Obviously, it's a point in the movie where the entire audience just cringes. Some people actually walked out at this point. They just couldn't handle it anymore. They were too squeamish, and they just had it.
The point where people usually walk out is during Shawnee's jaw trap sequence.
They do?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people walk out here.
Yeah, like people, it's just so primal. Like, people are almost thinking, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And then you do it.
Yeah. Well, you don't expect it, Yeah. Even though the character says it at the beginning of the movie, he wants us to cut through our chains. He doesn't want to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our legs or something. You never really expect him to do it.
This stunt sequence here, we literally just made that up on the spot because we knew we needed to kill off Danny's character and we weren't quite sure how to do it, and we didn't have stunt people, so the actors had to do it themselves, so we had to find a way to do it very safely. And
and that's not easy.
It's hard. It's very hard to do stunts,
especially when you're dealing with blanks at that close range too. Yeah.
And when you don't have a lot of times to rehearse it, that's when it can get really dangerous. So. Right. And we had a very good stunt guy on this film as well.
Yeah, well, of course we couldn't get to the gun. The gun was in the middle of the room. How could we shoot the chain off? By the time I get the gun, it's not about shooting the chain off. It's about shooting you.
I'm sick of your whining. I'm going to put this
you
through
blade and whinger. Stop whinging.
Stop whinging.
You've done yourself a mischief.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Oh, look at my head hit the ground there.
That was great.
That is just...
Hey, what about... I think we pointed this out on the other commentary as well, but when we squibbed Leigh, we put the squib on Leigh, and the special effects guy goes to Leigh, goes, please don't lean too close to the wall, because
really?
You don't want a squib going off on the against your back.
Really?
I think that was it.
I love the fact that every time we touch the walls, the room shakes.
And this is the neighbor who comes in, who's just calming everybody down, and he's called the police, and this is his family in there.
It just looks so much like a set.
You see that, though.
I see that.
When you point that out, anyone listening to this will go, oh, yeah, set.
This is the taxi driver moment. I love this.
This is my favorite. I love this bit.
Yeah, this is great.
Shot.
And I love the lighting and the smoke above him.
Wasn't this Michael's first stuff that he shot? He had to come straight into a set like this and just
This
go...
is his first day shooting.
Can you imagine walking into a room and there's a bloody Cary Elwes going, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favourite Michael line.
You're too late.
You ready?
Why? It's the rules.
I love that.
It's the rules.
It's
I mean,
the
that
rules.
could be the tagline for the movie, you know? And again,
Watch this,
doing his
watch
own
this
stunts
punch
here.
connect.
This is
Poor
all on
Michael.
stunts.
Yeah, this punch that you're about to see actually accidentally hit Michael. I felt so bad.
I know. He's a pro, though, man. He took a lot of punches for this
Whack.
movie. Ow, did you really hit him?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
And then toilet lid too. I just kept getting him in the head. That is his blood.
And that bit too.
Yeah, he's like, ow, please. And I just went there.
No, I
And
can't remember.
Michael's
Was that
dead
in
now.
the, was
You
that
were in the moment. I can't
I was
blame
in the
you.
moment.
Wait, was that in the script, by the way, that he takes the toilet lid and smash it, or did we do
There was different versions of it. I think at one stage James wanted me to wrap the foot chain around him, trip him up, and have his head smack against the edge of like the bathtub or something.
Right.
Just a really hardcore like whack, and then it got changed to like having a wrestle, and it just and then it was the toilet lid was there. But I mean, I
It
remember
was
this.
great. The toilet lid worked so well.
How great was it, Cary, on this day? I think James has got a great photo of, I think it's yourself, myself, Tobin, and Michael just covered in blood, all of
right,
us. We looked
yeah.
like we'd just gone for a swim in a tank of blood. And it was the most gruesome thing I've ever seen this day. The whole set.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
covered
we were
in blood.
covered in blood. We were just covered in it.
And everyone always wants to know what happens to your character after he crawls out of the bathroom.
What do you
here.
think?
Do you have an
I know.
opinion?
Tell us
Cary?
your take on
I
it.
know.
Cary.
What did
it's like,
Lawrence do?
Look, I mean, look, let's face it, guys. He's severed a whole leg off. I mean, there's just, you know, the loss of blood alone, even with that pathetic tourniquet he's made with his shirt, it's a wrap. He's not going to get 2 blocks.
It's like that scene from Monty Python and the
Yeah.
Holy Grail. Like, you were like, come here, I'll bite your leg off.
It's just a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound. Do you know
Leg's
that?
sawn off. Come on. Don't be a pussy.
Do you know that I went online, Cary, and I found some great Saw fan sites, and one of them had a link to a site that was filled with all this Saw fan fiction, people who'd written stories about Saw.
You're
And one of them was it was from your character's point of view after he'd crawled out of the bathroom.
No way.
It was about 3 pages of just this inner monologue going, oh God, my foot's missing. What do I do now? I'm bleeding, and my foot's missing. And I'm bleeding. And to top it all off, my foot's gone.
Yeah.
It was great stuff.
And I'm bleeding.
And
And plus, I've ruined my best shirt.
Yeah. This is great. This is where you find on the tape the whole thing. And I love
great editing here. This
the
is-
great editing. This is great.
Everything comes together
Yeah,
right here.
It's great.
You can always hear a pin drop in movie theaters.
Because they were asleep. By
Well, there's no one in there. That's why you can hear
It's
it.
great choices, though, James. that you
No,
used,
I
and
really-
these are
yeah.
really, really great
The
here.
ending is like the only part of the whole film that I'm happy with. Well, I mean, I should say that.
It's good for Cary and I to hear this, James.
No, I meant in terms of filmmaking for myself.
For editing and everything.
Yeah, for
you were
my
very-
own filmmaking.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Let me clear that up.
yeah.
Besides you guys,
It was
of
beautifully
course.
done. And the
And,
music's great. Everything. The shot of him is
Charlie's
great.
music is fantastic here, if I
And
do
this.
say so.
And you only had one take on this.
This was all one
One
take,
take.
one long freaking shot.
And this look on your face, Leigh, just sells it all. It sells it. I mean, everyone was screaming in the theater when we saw this
just
scene.
that-
It's so messed up. And your look is one of just abject horror.
Even Tobin peeling that latex off gets a gasp from people.
No,
going,
he couldn't. He
"Oh."
only did it once because
Yeah.
he didn't have a chance to put this on a second time. I mean, this is all one take. And kudos to Tobin, who's been sitting there for the whole, lying on the ground for the whole movie.
And we kept him there for the
And
whole week. He
got
never
it
went
all
home.
in one. God bless him. You know.
Tobin was such a trooper. He was. To lie in that blood, it was so sticky.
And
it was so hot in that room as well. There were flies
Yeah, no, he
everywhere.
had his
It
face-
wasn't pleasant.
No,
at
look
all.
at his face. He was lying in blood. That was the only time he was out of there, was lying in the bed.
Yeah.
I think he loved it. He was like,
He just stood up and went, thank
And
God
the
he
scene-
sawed
and of
his
course-
bloody foot off. I've been lying there
and the
for
chase
hours."
sequence. That's it.
We should point out too that see Tobin lying on the floor in the shape of an X. X marks the spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I never
see?
knew that. I never knew that.
We're smarter than we look and sound. Here he is. And a lot of people are thinking, well, hang on, if he's the how does he do
How
the
could
electrical
Tobin
thing?
hold a gun and the tape recorder in his hand and yet have that little zapping thing in
This
his
is
hand
great.
as well?
This montage.
Well, to that I say he could do it.
Yeah.
He's a man of all talent.
He had
He's
it wired to the
multi-talented.
bottom of his palm, and he was doing it with his little finger, just slightly, just enough pressure on the button to zap us.
This is just mind blowing. The lighting and everything here. This shot is just beautiful.
Good night, sweet prince.
Game over. What a great end. And that's it. Bam. And everyone was like cheering.
Yeah.
I remember our first screening, everyone stood up and cheered. I got to tell you, it's like that old theory of there are 3 movies. There's the one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you end up editing. And you basically took this movie that you had a basic idea in your heads for, and you've repeated throughout this whole commentary that you wish you had more time and you wish you'd done so much. And yet, I think what we can come away from this commentary is letting everyone know just how creative you guys were, especially you, James, in being able to find a third movie with using stills in the editing, and coming up with interesting shots, interesting cuts, interesting everything, and changing nothing. I mean, it was completely different from what was on the script, and you found a way.
It started with a good script.
No, the script was great. No, I'm not talking about in terms of the dialogue and the action and the characters. I'm not talking about that.
I like the finished film. I'm a fan of the finished Saw, the Saw that exists.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I am too. I'm really proud of it. You did an amazing job. You had a perfect script. You did. And it was there. The characters are well drawn. The story is very intricate and very clever, and everyone gets it. And it's, you said you didn't know it was a whodunit, but it ends up being one of the great whodunits of all time. and yet, with the editing and what you came up with creatively, with the extra shots, and you saying, I went back and used the video, I went back and took some photographs, I went back and did these extra shots.
Creativity at gunpoint.
It really was creativity at gunpoint.
Yeah, you're really forced to. I think when you're forced to be creative, that's when you come out with the good stuff.
Yeah, surprise yourself.
Yeah, you really surprise yourself. Well, thanks.
But
Cary.
if you look at films like Jaws and a lot of the films James and I love, such troubled productions that the directors and the crew would probably, if they were doing one of these commentaries, would be like, oh my God, that was a nightmare, that shot of the shark or whatever.
Right.
But the finished film of Jaws, to me, is a masterpiece. I love it, you know. So, as you say, what ends up being the finished film, you take ownership of it.
Sure.
And the history of it's gone. It doesn't exist how it was made anymore.
Yeah, you should feel very proud.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you guys for making it such an amazing experience, especially on our first film.
I like it how we all pull each other off while the credits are rolling. During the film, I was like, you were terrible, Cary. I mean, you really sucked.
Leigh, you really sucked in this film. But anyway, now that we're finished with it, I got to tell you were genius.
It was, wasn't it? It really was.
Especially those scenes that you went in, Leigh. You were fantastic.
Exactly.
Off camera, I got to tell you, he's one of the best off-camera actors ever.
Exactly. I must say, kudos to Tobin for that, because I feel like his presence was just his voice. It was draped over the whole film. But if you think about his actual screen time in the film, it's so limited. Yet you feel like Tobin's such a big part of this movie.
It's true.
Yeah. So everyone involved.
Yeah,
just
everyone.
Did a
Hats
huge
off
job.
to everybody involved in this. All the
and
crew.
to Lionsgate.
Everybody. No, they all worked very, very hard on this, and.
Yes, to Lionsgate, the producers, everyone for giving us this chance to make this film.
And to you, Cary, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks
we
for
also
having
got
me.
to say thanks to Marlon. He came in and
Marlon, amazing.
The fact that
From
he
the
stopped
dead.
by to say something
From the dead.
was fantastic. It was great.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, listeners.
Bye.